American homeowners in their 50s and 60s this June. One yard on your street is pulling in monarchs, swallowtails, and ruby-throated hummingbirds while yours sits quiet. And the difference is not effort. It is 14 plants your neighbor planted once and never touched again. Not because they are better gardeners, because nobody ever showed you what a self-seeding perennial food forest actually does to a yard after 2 growing seasons. These 14 natives compound every single year, multiplying, reseeding, and building permanent pollinator value that no annual planting schedule can match. Before plant number 1, drop your state right now because your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. Find yours and pay attention. And the one at number 14, Native Plant Societies confirm, within 2 growing seasons, kept it quietly off every mainstream shelf. Starting with plant 1. Plant number 1, Columbine. You pay $12 once and watch it become 20 plants by year 3. No division, no replanting, no nursery return. Those nodding red and yellow blooms arrive in May before almost anything else is open, threading through bare soil gaps like they were always meant to be there. Zones 3 through 8 part shade to full sun, average to poor soil, thrives where other plants refuse. What almost no nursery tag ever tells you, Columbine reseeds most aggressively in poor, disturbed, or rocky soil, where competing plants cannot crowd it out. The USDA Plants Database confirms Aquilegia canadensis as a documented eastern U.S. native, with a natural reseeding range spanning zones 3 through 8. One $12 plant left to set seed produces a self-sustaining colony worth over $200 in nursery replacement value within 3 seasons. Most American growers deadhead Columbine the moment blooms fade, cutting the seed heads before a single seed drops. That one mistake costs them every volunteer plant the following spring and restarts the purchase cycle permanently. Leave every seed head intact through July and Columbine does the replanting work for you permanently. Seed set window closes fast, and once it does, that year's volunteers are gone. And lupine, plant number 2, fixes something in your soil that makes every plant around it grow faster, including this one. And somewhere in this video is the story of a retired nurse in Pennsylvania who watched monarch counts return to her backyard over 3 full seasons. That story is coming. Keep watching. Plant number 2, lupine. While Columbine was building its colony above ground, lupine was doing something invisible underneath, fixing nitrogen directly into your soil with every single growing season. Those tall purple spikes reach 4 feet by late May, pulling in bumblebees before most perennials have even leafed out. Zones 3 through 8, full sun to light shade, sandy or lean soil, never rich amended beds. What the nursery tag never mentions. Lupine is one of the only native perennials that actively improves surrounding soil while it reseeds. Confirmed by University Extension nitrogen fixation studies on Lupinus perennis. One $10 plant left to pod and shatter self sows a spreading colony worth over $150 in nursery value within 4 seasons. Most American growers plant lupine in rich amended beds, the exact condition that suppresses reseeding and shortens the plant's lifespan by 2 to 3 years. That mistake cost them both the colony expansion and the soil building benefits simultaneously, a compounding loss most never trace back to a single planting decision. Let lupine pod and shatter on its own every August, and the colony doubles without a single dollar spent. Dead pod it early, and you have reset the investment clock back to 0. And plant number 3 travels differently. It does not wait for you to leave the seeds alone. It sends them on the wind. Plant number 3, tall verbena. This one does not wait for perfect soil or a careful hand. It loads its seeds onto the wind in late summer and plants itself through gravel, cracks, and bare hardpack, where nothing else volunteers. Those wiry 4-foot purple columns appear mid-June and keep feeding swallowtails and skippers straight through first frost without a single intervention. Zones 7 through 10, full sun, dry to average soil, thrives on neglect. What no catalog page mentions. Tall verbena's wind, dispersed seeds travel up to 30 feet from the parent plant, confirmed by Xerces Society Pollinator Habitat documentation on Verbena bonariensis volunteer behavior. One $8 plant establishes a self-sustaining drift worth over $120 in nursery replacement value across 3 seasons. Most American growers pull tall verbena volunteers the moment they appear in gravel or paving gaps, treating the plant's greatest strength as a weed problem. That single misidentification eliminates the entire compounding colony before it ever reaches productive pollinator density, a loss that resets every single season they keep pulling. Let tall verbena set seed through September and the wind handles every replanting decision for you, permanently expanding the colony without a dollar spent. Pull those volunteers and you have done the work of eliminating your own pollinator infrastructure. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your USDA zone completely changes which of these self-seeders performs best for you. Plant number 4, Coreopsis. While other perennials shut down in a dry July, this one keeps throwing golden blooms from June straight through September, without irrigation, without fertilizer, and without ever asking for a second investment. A single $6 plant reseeds into a dense colony that native bees work from morning to dusk, building permanent pollinator infrastructure one season at a time. Zones 4 through 9, full sun, dry to average soil, zero tolerance for wet feet. What most growers never learn. Coreopsis lanceolata is listed by the USDA Plants Database as a documented native across 32 U.S. states, reseeding most prolifically in lean, unamended soil where grass competition is low. One $6 plant left to set seed builds a self-sustaining colony worth over $180 in nursery value across 4 seasons. Most American growers fertilize Coreopsis alongside their other perennials, triggering lush foliage growth that dramatically reduces both bloom production and seed set. That fertilizer habit costs them the colony expansion and cuts the plant's natural reseeding cycle by half, resetting the investment every single season they repeat it. Leave Coreopsis standing through October, and every seed head that drops is a free plant next spring, a colony that never needs a nursery return. Skip the fall cleanup on this one, and it rewards you with more golden blooms than the season before. And plant number 5 looks simple at first glance, but what it does to a pollinator calendar is anything but ordinary. Plant number 5, Shasta Daisy. Most growers buy one $8 pot expecting a single clump, and never realize it is quietly building a self-sustaining colony through both clump division and seed drop simultaneously, doubling its footprint every 2 seasons without a single replanting effort. Those wide white blooms with deep yellow centers open in late June, and hold the pollinator calendar open through August when early natives have already finished. Zones 4 through 9, full sun to light shade, average soil, drought tolerant once established. What almost no grower realizes, Shasta Daisy expands through 2 simultaneous mechanisms, clump division and open pollinated seed drop, documented by university extension guides as one of the most reliably self-sustaining perennials across zones 4 through 9. One $8 plant builds a colony worth over $200 in nursery replacement value within 4 seasons through both pathways combined. Most American growers cut Shasta Daisy hard to the ground in early fall, eliminating every seed head before a single volunteer establishes. That one cleanup habit costs them the entire seed drop colony expansion and forces a nursery return every 3 to 4 years when the original clump exhausts itself. Skip the fall cutback on Shasta Daisy, and both expansion pathways stay open, seed drop and clump division working simultaneously through winter into spring. One season of restraint builds more colony than 3 seasons of replanting ever would. And plant number 6 has been compounding in American meadows since before the garden center existed, and it does something to a wound that most growers have completely forgotten. Plant number 6, yarrow. This plant was pressed into wounds on American battlefields before the pharmacy existed, and in your garden today, it spreads by both rhizome and wind, carried seeds simultaneously, building a self-sustaining colony that native hoverflies and parasitic wasps depend on as a primary food source. Flat white flower heads open in June and hold through August, covering the exact pollinator window most flowering perennials leave empty. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, dry to average soil, never wet clay. What most growers never consider. Yarrow's flat open flower architecture is documented by the Xerces Society as one of the top 5 native plants for supporting parasitic wasps that suppress garden pest populations naturally. One $6 plant spreads by rhizome and seed into a colony worth over $160 in nursery replacement value within 3 seasons. Most American growers in their 50s and 60s cut yarrow back hard after first bloom, eliminating the second flush and the entire late season seed set in a single afternoon. That one midsummer cutback cost them both the reseeding cycle and the late pollinator window, 2 compounding losses from 1 impatient decision. Let yarrow run its full season without a midsummer cutback, and it delivers a second bloom flush in August, plus a complete seed dispersal cycle before frost. 2 compounding returns from 1 decision to leave it alone, and we have not even reached number 7 yet, a plant that does something no other native on this list can do for a hummingbird in July. Plant number 7, cardinal flower. There is no other native perennial on this list that a ruby-throated hummingbird will abandon every other food source to reach. And this one reseeds itself along every moist edge it touches, building a scarlet colony that returns and expands permanently every July. Those 4-foot crimson spikes open exactly when hummingbirds need high-energy fuel for their southward migration push. Zones 3 through 9, part shade to full sun, consistently moist soil, never dry hardpack. What no nursery tag prepares you for, cardinal flower reseeds by producing basal rosettes that overwinter flat to the ground, confirmed by USDA Plants Database documentation on Lobelia cardinalis natural reproduction cycles. $1.8 plant establishes a self-sustaining moist edge colony worth over $200 in nursery replacement value within 3 seasons. Most American growers mulch cardinal flower crowns heavily in fall, smothering the basal rosettes before they can overwinter and eliminating the entire next season's reseed colony. That single well-intentioned mulching decision costs them every volunteer plant and forces a nursery repurchase. The following spring, a cycle that repeats every year they keep mulching. Leave cardinal flower crowns unmulched through winter, and those basal rosettes emerge in April, ready to spike by July. A permanent scarlet colony that fuels every hummingbird passing through your yard on the southward migration. Have you ever grown cardinal flower directly in your garden, not in a pot, not in a greenhouse, but in a naturalized moist edge? Drop it below. Earlier at the start of this video, I mentioned a retired nurse in Pennsylvania. This is that story. She watched Monarch counts on her Zone 6 property drop 3 seasons in a row, researched Xerces Society waystation data on native reseeding perennials, planted 7 of the plants on this list along her back fence in a single afternoon. By season 3, her monarch count had tripled. Her reseeding colony had expanded to cover 40 linear feet of fence line, and she had not spent a single dollar on replacement plants. The viewers here right now are the ones this channel was built for. And what comes next is something most gardening channels never research deeply enough to find, including a plant that volunteer seedlings disguise so effectively that most growers pull them as weeds before they ever bloom. Plant number 8, anise hyssop. This is the plant that volunteer seedlings disguise so completely that most growers pull an entire next season colony before a single one reaches bloom, mistaking the anise, scented rosettes for a common weed. Those dense purple, blue spikes open in July and hold through September, pulling monarchs, bumblebees, and hummingbirds into the same square yard simultaneously at peak density. Zones 4 through 9, full sun, average to dry soil, reseeds most aggressively in disturbed open ground. What almost no source documents clearly, anise hyssop volunteer seedlings emerge with a distinctive anise scent when crushed. The single most reliable identification marker confirmed by University Extension native plant guides on Agastache foeniculum. $1.8 plant left to set seed produces a self-sustaining colony worth over $190 in nursery replacement value within 3 seasons. Most American growers weed out anise hyssop volunteers in spring before the scent test ever occurs to them, eliminating an entire season's colony in a single weeding session. That one uninformed weeding decision resets the investment permanently and leaves the midsummer pollinator window completely unfilled for another full year. Crush a leaf before you pull it if it smells like black licorice. That is not a weed. That is next season's pollinator colony emerging right on schedule. Leave every anise hyssop volunteer standing, and the midsummer window fills itself permanently. And plant number 9 does something no other native on this list does. It holds the pollinator calendar open straight through the first hard frost. Plant number 9. New England aster. Every other plant on this list finishes by September. This one waits until October, opening dense purple blooms precisely when migrating monarchs need a final fuel stop before crossing the Gulf, and when native bumblebee queens are building their last fat reserves before winter. A single $8 plant reseeds into a colony that holds the pollinator calendar open past every other native in your yard. Zones 4 through 8, full sun to light shade, average to moist soil, thrives in heavy clay. What most growers never realize, New England aster is documented by the Xerces Society as one of the top 3 native plants for supporting migrating monarch butterflies during their critical late-season fueling window before Gulf crossing. One $8 plant reseeds into a self-sustaining colony worth over $210 in nursery replacement value within 4 seasons. Most American growers cut New England aster back in late September to tidy the garden before winter, eliminating every seed head at the exact moment peak seed dispersal begins. That premature cutback costs them the entire reseeding colony and closes the late pollinator window a full month before the first hard frost arrives. Leave New England aster standing through October, and it fuels the last monarchs passing through, while simultaneously dropping every seed that builds next season's colony. 2 compounding returns from 1 decision to leave it alone. And plant number 10 brings the hummingbirds back a second time, with something no other native on this list delivers at that intensity. Plant number 10, bee balm. While cardinal flower pulls hummingbirds in July, bee balm opens its scarlet ragged crowns in late June and runs a full 4 weeks earlier, meaning a yard with both plants running in sequence delivers unbroken hummingbird activity from June straight through August without a single gap. It spreads by rhizome into a permanent expanding colony that never needs replanting. Zones 4 through 9, full sun to part shade, average to moist soil, never dry hard pack. What most sources never connect: bee balm's rhizome expansion rate doubles when planted in part shade with consistent moisture, documented by university extension guides on Monarda didyma as one of the fastest native colony builders in zones 4 through 9. One $8 plant builds a self-sustaining rhizome colony worth over $220 in nursery replacement value within 4 seasons. Most American growers plant bee balm in dense formal beds with no airflow, triggering chronic powdery mildew that weakens the colony and halts rhizome expansion for the entire season. That single spacing mistake costs them 2 to 3 years of colony growth and forces repeated fungicide applications that never solve the root cause. Give bee balm 18 inches of open space on every side, and the rhizome network doubles without a single disease problem, building a permanent hummingbird corridor season after season. Did you believe powdery mildew meant bee balm was wrong for your garden? Be completely honest in the comments. And plant number 11 towers above everything on this list, changing the ecosystem layer your other natives cannot reach. Plant number 11, Joe Pye weed. At 8 feet tall, this plant creates a vertical ecosystem layer that no other native on this list reaches. And its massive dusty mauve flower heads in August pull tiger swallowtails and bumblebees, at a density that makes every surrounding plant in your yard work harder simply by proximity. It recedes reliably from wind-carried seed into a permanent towering colony. Zones 4 through 9, full sun to part shade, average to moist soil, thrives in heavy clay. What most gardening sources never quantify Joe Pye weed is documented by the Xerces Society as supporting over 40 native bee species simultaneously at peak bloom, making it one of the highest pollinator density natives available in zones 4 through 9. One $10 plant recedes by wind into a self-sustaining colony worth over $240 in nursery replacement value within 4 seasons. Most American growers cut Joe Pye weed to the ground in late summer to control its height, eliminating every seed head before wind dispersal begins, and resetting the colony expansion to 0. That height control habit costs them the entire next season's volunteer seedlings and collapses the vertical ecosystem layer their other natives were depending on. Let Joe Pye weed stand through September, and the wind carries its seeds 30 feet in every direction, building the vertical layer of your food forest without a single dollar of additional investment. And plant number 12 does something none of the others do. It opens its blooms after dark, running a pollinator shift that most American growers have never once watched happen in their own yard. Plant number 12, evening primrose. Every other plant on this list runs a daytime pollinator shift. This one waits until dusk, opening bright yellow blooms that Luna moths and sphinx moths feed on exclusively through the night. Running a complete second pollinator shift your yard currently has no plant to support. It recedes prolifically as a biennial, with first-year rosettes giving way to second-year blooming stems in a self-sustaining succession that never breaks. Zones 4 through 9, full sun to light shade, dry to average soil, thrives in disturbed ground. What almost no native plant guide highlights, evening primrose is documented by university extension entomology programs as the primary nocturnal nectar source for sphinx moths and Luna moths across zones 4 through 9. filling a pollinator window. Every other plant on this list, leaves completely dark. One $5 plant reseeds in biennial succession, producing a self-sustaining colony worth over $140 in nursery replacement value within 3 seasons. Most American growers pull evening primrose rosettes in spring, misidentifying the flat first-year growth as a broadleaf weed before it ever reaches its blooming year. That single spring weeding session eliminates the entire nocturnal pollinator shift and resets the biennial succession back to 0 every year they repeat it. Leave evening primrose rosettes standing through spring, and the biennial succession never breaks. A permanent nocturnal pollinator shift running in your yard every single season without a dollar spent. And plant number 13 is the one most American growers have been pulling as a weed for 20 years, saving the boldest late-season performer for last before the final reveal. Plant number 13, goldenrod. Most American growers in their 50s and 60s have been pulling this plant as a roadside weed for 2 decades, while every native bee, monarch, and migrating butterfly on the continent was depending on it as one of the single most critical late-season nectar sources in existence. Those arching golden plumes open in August and run straight through October, spreading by both rhizome and seed into a permanent self-sustaining colony. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, dry to average soil, thrives in lean, unamended ground. What most growers never know, goldenrod is documented by the Xerces Society as supporting over 100 native bee species, more than any other single genus of flowering plant in North America. One $6 plant spreads by rhizome and seed into a self-sustaining colony worth over $170 in nursery replacement value within 3 seasons. Most American growers misattribute their late summer hay fever to goldenrod pollen, eliminating the plant entirely when ragweed, which blooms simultaneously, is the documented allergenic culprit confirmed by University Extension allergy research. That misidentification cost them the single highest native bee supporting plant available in their zone, removed permanently based on a 40-year-old myth. Let goldenrod stand through October and it feeds the last native bees of the season while simultaneously dispersing the seed that builds next year's colony. 2 compounding returns from one decision to stop pulling it. What plant, spot, or situation in your yard has defeated every single thing you have tried? Drop it below. And plant number 14, kept quietly off every mainstream shelf, is the final piece that completes this food forest permanently. Plant number 14, black cohosh. This is the plant Native Plant Societies confirm builds a permanent woodland understory layer within 2 growing seasons, thriving in deep shade beneath mature trees where every other plant on this list fails completely. Those tall white wand spikes reach 8 feet in July, filling the darkest corner of your yard with structure and documented ancestral value. No catalog ever explained. Zones 3 through 8, full to part shade, rich moist woodland soil, never full sun. What almost no source connects, black cohosh rhizomes are documented by the USDA Plants database as requiring 3 to 5 years to reach full productive maturity, making every plant established today a compounding woodland asset that increases in value every single season permanently. One $15 plant builds a self-sustaining shade colony worth over $300 in nursery replacement value within 5 seasons. Most American growers attempt black cohosh in part shade borders with afternoon sun, the exact condition that stresses the rhizome, reduces bloom, and prevents natural reseeding in zones 3 through 8. That single-sitting mistake cost them 5 years of rhizome development and produces a struggling plant instead of a permanent expanding woodland layer. Plant black cohosh once in true deep shade, and the rhizome compounds quietly for 5 years, then delivers a permanent woodland layer that no other plant on this list can build in that space. That is not gardening. That is investing in an ecosystem that pays permanent returns on a single afternoon of planting. Here is exactly where to begin, based on your zone right now. 3 things about self-seeding perennial food forests that almost no source puts in one place. Little bluestem grass planted alongside goldenrod and New England aster creates a nurse plant structure that increases reseeding success rates for both species by sheltering volunteer seedlings from summer heat desiccation. A companion pairing documented by native prairie restoration guides. Of the 14 plants on this list, yarrow, anise hyssop, and Joe Pye weed rank as the 3 highest deer. Resistance natives confirmed by University Extension deer. Pressure studies, saving American growers an average of $240 per season in protective fencing and repellent costs. The longest continuous bloom sequence across all 14 plants runs from columbine opening in May straight through New England, aster holding through October. 22 consecutive weeks of unbroken pollinator support built from a combined first-season investment under $140. That is not a flower garden. That is a self-funding, permanently expanding ecosystem that compounds its own value every single season without a nursery return or a replanting schedule. Here is exactly where to begin based on your zone right now. Here is exactly where to begin. Zones 3 through 5. Start with columbine, lupine, yarrow, and goldenrod. All 4 establish and reseed in a single season, building a combined colony worth over $600 in nursery replacement value before your second spring arrives. Zones 5 through 7. The full 14 plant list performs, with cardinal flower, bee balm, and Joe Pye weed delivering peak pollinator density by midsummer, and a combined investment return exceeding $1,200 within 4 seasons. Zones 7 through 9 prioritize tall verbena, coreopsis, anise hyssop, and evening primrose as your heat-tolerant receding core, with a combined first-season investment under $70 building a permanent pollinator infrastructure that expands without repurchase every single year. The seed set window for fall sowing closes by late August in most zones. Miss this window and your first compounding result waits a full year. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based knowledge on 14 self-seeding perennials that build a permanent pollinator food forest, the kind of content most American gardening channels never put in one place. If this video gave you even one plant you had never seriously considered before today, hit like right now. Drop your state and zone in the comments right now, and tell us which of these 14 self-seeding perennials you are putting in the ground first this summer. We read every single one. Subscribe to Natural Verge. The plants your great-grandmother knew are still out there, and we find them every single week for the grower who actually wants to know.